Hello, everyone. Here with another battle report from the New Orleans Open that happened about a week ago. Sorry for the delay on this. I was actually traveling and at work conferences the entire time between this tournament and today. I'm actually at the airport getting ready for ArmorCon now and just wanted to get this battle report done before it was too late. Kind of looking at my list going for the weekends here, I actually switched it up to Barak Nar, which allows Thunders to be battle line, as well as gives you access to the Voidstone Orb. In this list, I just thought last tournament, I didn't really use the +1, the reroll ones to hit that effectively with the big block of Thunders. And in fact, the Arcana Company were pretty useless in the meta. I just think bodies of 10 that go away and don't do anything, don't give you much. The frigate doesn't hit hard. It's just a -1 red machine and kind of is easy to kill now with the 4-up save. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to focus in on the meta. This entire list is going to go in the 3-up save Ironclad, making it a 3-up save. In one of the 2 Ironclads you'll see, and then I'll have Go Trick. And it's going to be a super focused list. I also have answers to magic now with 3 dispels coming from the Endmaster and then 2 from the Navigator, as well as a dispel scroll with the Voidstone Orb. So this list can dispel really well, it can shoot really well, and it's pretty survivable and quick. It suffers from low body counts and ability to fight really in combat outside of Gotrek, but I figured those could be kind of mitigated by smart play. I'm also using the Alpha Beast Pack now, which I think is a smart little thing with KO, as you can do a pregame fly high. So essentially, even though I'm a 9-drop, I don't really deploy anything, because if everything goes in the boats or I just keep the 10 company out, I essentially can fly high both my boats and I really redeploy at the start of the game. So it kind of gets around that. Even if you think you have me turn 1, I can kind of adjust post deployment. So the first round was against Nurgle Mortals. The scenario was the one where you had one come down, one objective come down turn 2 start, and then 2 more come down turn 3. So I think that's the realm scenario. As you can see here, no scenarios on the board yet. And I deployed like this. Pre-game move, I get both these boats in the corner. You can see he just runs his army up and ambushes on a unit of 5 Blight Kings, as well as the hero who has the ability to steal Gotrek's weapon. So I definitely was staying away from board edges with that in mind. I played pretty conservative here, knowing the ambush was in play. And then on my turn, really just set up broken ranks and wanted to shoot off that unit in the corner to kind of keep this corner safe for me. As you can see, I completed broken ranks and put some wounds on the hero. Gotrek also made like an 11-inch charge or 10-inch charge to get into the Plague Bearers. I think my opponent was a little bit new and just getting used to distance management. I think that giving Gotrek with a reroll a 10 or an 11 is not really what you want to do turn 1. I think if anything, you make it a 12 if you really think you can accomplish something. But again, I don't know what those Plague Bearers were aiming to do. Was it to pressure my boats or maybe contest the objective when it came up? Either way, I think Plague Bearers are actually a good answer to Gotrek. They're pretty resilient. And at least he'll take a couple turns to get through them and they can come back to life. But I don't think that keeping him that close so that he could wipe him turn 1 was going to be smart. On his turn 2, you can see an objective came back in that corner there, that little green poker chip. I had played some casino the night before. And at this point, Gotrek was kind of getting double teamed by the Glotkin as well as the Plague Bearers. He wasn't able to get anything else really into me. I think he put the Glotkin in thinking that between that, some magic, Gotrek could go down. I think it's hard. I mean, I did roll well with my 3-ups, so I think I was on 6 wounds after everything, or 5 wounds. But even if I had rolled terrible, I think that it would have been pretty insane for him to take him down. And the fact that he heals D3 a turn, even if he got me to 2, I'm up to 4 next turn, and I'm probably killing you back. So I don't know if feeding. I think at this point, once I was in, he probably should just thrown the Glotkin down south, try to get my boats. But again, not sure he had the speed or the room to really pull that off. You can see that my Gotrek made quick work of the Glotkin and moved on to kind of fight the other heroes. My boats kind of pieced out to go get those 2 poker chips, which had come down in the right side of the board. And I had left, I think, 10 company to kind of hold off a little unit of Plague Bearers he had summoned into that corner and contest that objective. The Plague Bearers actually surprised me. They were able to do well and fight off the Nurgle Plague Bearers. My boats kind of just blasted and continued to claim that corner of the board and get the Blight Kings and the Knights off the table. And I think at this point, Gotrek could finish off the 2 heroes, and I had essentially tabled him at turn 4. Again, newer player that was getting used to how KO maybe worked. He had never played them before. And I think Nurgle Mortals kind of struggle in this edition. Just don't quite have the hitting power and or the resilience I think that you would need. I do love the Glotkin and think his range attack's super cool, but I think he might have been better played going into my boats, and he kind of fed into my strong suit by putting him into Gotrek. Round 2, I went for Soulblight Gravelords. As you can see, this is a unit of 2x20 Graveguard, as well as skeletons, which are in reserve. He has your standard hero layout, the Knight of Shrouds, the Grammon Wolf, the super scary guy that starts with an Auron Wolf, and then the Lord Vampire, who's like a mutated dude, and that's like half dragon in the middle there. I don't know their vampire names, but if you play Warhammer or the book, one's hitty, one summons wolves, it can dish off wolf attacks, and the other buffs to buff the Graveyard really well and kind of fight. So he had all that. I kind of stayed in the corner. My turn 1, I went onto the hill there. We actually rolled up Mystical Terrain, which I never do in regular play or tournaments, but my opponent said he wanted to, and it is the rules of the game, so I obliged. That terrain is mystical, so I chose the side of the board that gave me the +6 up ward. So my boats and units are all at a 6 up ward, and kind of just shot off the unit of bats. Nothing crazy here, just got, I think, Broken Ranks or maybe Ferocious Advance this turn, and was kind of waiting to see what he did. On his turn, he kind of moved up hard with the Graveguard and the Grandma Wolf on the right side of the board. He also kind of pushed the left rank forward using, I think, Event Hells on them just in case, and summoned in a unit of wolves near his Hitty Vampire on the left side there. I don't know if I stated it, but the objectives this round was control all 4 corners of the board and you win automatically. So I think his idea was to basically claim 3 objectives and put his whole army into me and hoped either through bodies or through killing have you win. As you can see, the Graveguard weren't buffed up, so it wasn't too much of a threat to my 1 Ironclad there. And the rest of the army was close, but with hills and terrain and just number of bodies he had, I think it was still going to take him another turn to really get into me. Gotrek and the boats finish off the units that are most imminent threat. He has nowhere to pop out of a grave site. I think he put 1 grave site on each corner, kind of where the objectives are. So I was blocking off the left corner with my boats and units. So he essentially was down to just the wolves and the heroes and the Graveguard block in the center there. He still had his skeletons in reserve, but didn't really have a great place to put them. I think he was trying to find a way to get them in my corner if I screwed up. So was definitely making sure those 30 or so skeletons couldn't come up here. Again, more shooting on my turn. I'm just completing objectives, whether it's killing Broken Ranks or I think this turn I did kill a monster, kill a general, making sure I get all of those. He was unable to do Broken Ranks turn 2 or 3, so I was able to get the tiebreaker advantage here. So I wasn't too worried about winning the game on strategy because I knew that on battle tactics I might have an advantage, and especially at this point figured he'd be hard pressed to do a lot of what he would need because I just didn't think he had the killing power or the mobility at this point. So you can see here, this is another angle of kind of how things are shaken up. I think this is about turn 3. He then comes out of the ground finally with that horde of skeletons and retreats, just fearing that I'm going to shoot him off the board and wanting to kind of make sure that he can, stop me from the auto win. As you can see, I got bottom of 3, so the top right where that crater is across from my broken down Ironclad that's the impact hits, that's gone. So the only 3 objectives left are really the 3 we're around right now. And at this point, I'm able to do get grand strategy, have 2 units on his side of the table, and I'm still keeping those battle tactic lead up. And I think turn 5, we called it because he no longer could complete his 5th battle tactic. He didn't have enough units, or he just had those 2 units in the corner where I already had completed 4. So, and I still had, I think, an auto 1 in play, can take 1 of his or be on his side of the table. So at this point, we called it. Again, he really just had the big wolf guy and the skeleton horde after turn 4 or 5, and it just wasn't really going to be in his cards to compute or fight off and win. This scenario is pretty funky. The fact that you just auto win creates a lot of weird decision making and it's pretty variable. And the fact it's only worth 1 point where the previous round I think was worth 40 or 50. It's just super bizarre to count those. I I know the game's win-loss draw, but with tiebreakers and things, it is kind of bizarre. The next round, I was 2-0 and at one of the top 4 tables, and I got to play Scooter. He is a local Warhammer champion. I think he's won a few tournaments, and he's been mentioned on podcasts before. He always has played, I think, orcs, and his brother Caleb plays Tzeentch. So they are really good painters, really good converters, and also really loyal to faction, which I appreciate. You can see he's really taking advantage of the speed and hitting power of the new Iron Jaws book by kind of just spamming pigs here with a big dragon in the middle, and 2 shamans to go. So it's a pretty simple list. It's kind of like mine. You choose what's good and you just run with it. You can see here I started super conservative, and he gave me the first turn. The scenario was just control 1, control more, and every turn one of these middle tokens would be worth double. Turn 1, I moved up, and I think that my idea was I could funnel off some of the pigs and make it a long charge for Godric. I was actually kind of okay with him coming in. Usually I'm okay with people coming in if it's one flank at a time. So I figured that because of their base size and because Godric was going to be a funnel and train piece, he probably could get maybe 5 pigs in total between the 2 units if he had to kind of snake around, and they would have to be split between the 2 boats. So at Ren 1, or I guess Ren 2 with the Big Wall chant, I wasn't too afraid at a 2-up armor save. I figured they could put through maybe 4 wounds on each boat. As far as Godric, it was about 30 inches away at this point, 32, and I was like, okay, if you want to bring him in, he'll just die to Godric next turn. And again, I figured it'd at least be like a 7-inch charge or 8. So I was like hoping that he would just kind of overextend to try and get, a big charge. And you can see this is him kind of doing that hero phase move that he has as orcs. And this is his movement phase move. And holy cow, are they fast. He chanted with both his chantas on them, on all 3 units, and he's going to obviously have the CP with Godric to kind of make them both of his units +1 to hit. The funnel worked, so only one of the units was able to get through. However, because my shooting phase was so terrible turn 1, I mean, I put 2 cannonballs into that unit of 6 pigs, but he just made his 5 ups or 6 ups. It's the thing where it's 3s and 2s for me, and then he's at -2 rend, auto 6 damage. Neither went through, so I just hit him with kind of some shrapnel, and it was just pretty embarrassing, honestly. Could not do really anything turn 1, so he got in with a full force turn 2, or his turn 1, and you can see Godric has an auto charge at this point. So in hindsight, I did not screen well here. I really should have had my 10 Arcanaut company out of the boat, just basically shot 2 pop shots at the unit, see if he makes the 4-up or 5-up, whatever, if he used the +1 armor, and then waited for him to come in. The fact that I gave him this turn 1 charge was not a good play by me. And additionally, I just didn't understand how hard Godric was going to hit with the Big Wall, because, I ask opponents usually, what does 2-up rend or mortal wounds in your army at the start of every game? Because -1 rend, I don't care. I'm going to heal back, just have enough wounds that it won't matter. And most of his army actually is only 1 or 2 rend, but when you add Chantas in and when you add Big Y in, it's just, it's double damage and double hits or whatever it is, and it just becomes pretty crazy, pretty fast. So you can see that he does actually clear a boat turn 1. If I got the roll for turn 2, I think it actually could have been fair. I think Godric would have charged Godric, and I actually would have been able, I think I had 7 wounds here, but the End Master was alive, so I probably would have healed up to 12 on my boat, shot off the remaining 4 pigs, and killed off Godric. So I actually think I could have been okay here, but he won the double, and at that point, he's going to win the game. He's just going to charge the other boat, kill it, and I'd have 1 model to his whole army. And as good as Godric is, I'm only killing 1 a turn, and he's just going to score faster than I can. So we called it. We just kind of rolled out the game as if just Godric was alive, and how many points could I score? How many could he score? And it was essentially a pretty big blowout at that point. So I ended up dropping out. So we were in New Orleans, and I knew I had ArmorCon coming up here in Boston on the 15th. So I said, screw it. I don't want to burn myself out of KO. I'm just going to have a fun day in New Orleans since I never get to come here. I also was starting to just really get frustrated with the book. I wasn't having fun. It's not that I'm not winning. I think the book can win 3 or 4 games, even 5 games in some scenarios if you get a good draw. But I just think the book just creates a non-player experience, because either, you're kind of slowly feeding me, or, I get a double and, blast you off, or you get a double and you can bring some scary thing into me and kill off the boats. And I think it's my list construction, one, because, you know, I'm not doing like a mixed arm KO list. I'm not doing Ziflin with a monster maybe, which could be a more balanced potential build. But I don't know. In general, the book's all -1 rend and kind of just has its movement trick, but that's about it. I don't really think it's going to get through the heavy armored stuff, or like in counterpoint without Gotrek. I don't know how you deal with Archeon just shoving into you and killing you. So, or at least, you know, or good Zinch list. I just think that it has issues. So I think you kind of get forced into playing Gotrek or a super aggro list. And it just wasn't what I signed up for. I think the book was a little bit more fun in 2.0 and had some more interaction 2.0. Again, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's oppressive shooting. I just think that the paths to victory end up being kind of really, I'm playing kind of conventional dwarfs in the corner, or you make a mistake and I'm able to wipe off a flank and then kind of surround you and Gotrek gets into you. So Gotrek's kind of his own problem. And then the KO book, it's kind of a one-dimensional book. So again, I am going to take this to ArmorCon and I'm going to play all 5 games there, promise. So you'll get a full 5-round battle report from me. And then I'm probably going to shelf KO for a while. Might do like a one-dayer again with a Ziflin list and maybe a fun monster just to try it, to say I've done both types of lists since I've been doing Gotrek off KO. But at this point, I'm kind of burnt with the army and not really feeling it. So I'll be sharing more to come. And thanks for watching.